Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I hope you're bundled up and ready because Mother Nature has a little surprise for us this morning. Snow and ice are set to make their way into the tri-state area, creating a treacherous commute for anyone hitting the roads early. The National Weather Service has issued winter weather advisories from 4 a.m. to 1 p.m., and while we're not expecting a blizzard, it doesn't take much to turn the roads into an ice rink. The real danger is just that, ice. It's tricky, it's unpredictable, and it can turn even a routine drive into a white-knuckle experience. So if you're out there before the storm clears, take it slow, keep your distance, and if you can, maybe consider working from home. Alternate side parking rules will be suspended as the city works to clean up, but that's small comfort if you find yourself skidding through an intersection on black ice. We'll get a break in the afternoon, but don't put away the snow shovels because there's going to be another system that could bring more wintry fun by Saturday. But let's warm things up with some fantastic news from the world of baseball, and it involves all things a polar bear. After months of speculation, Pete Alonso is staying put. That's right, Met fans. You can breathe easy. The polar bear isn't going anywhere, at least for the next 2 years. Alonso has signed a 2-year, $54 million contract with an opt-out after the first year, ensuring that the heart of the Mets lineup remains intact for the 2025 season. It's been quite the offseason for the Mets. First, they landed Juan Soto. Then they retooled their rotation, and now they've secured one of the most beloved sluggers in franchise history. Alonso, who made his mark back in 2019 with a record-setting 53 home runs as a rookie, remains one of the game's premier power hitters. Even in a down year, he was still among the league leaders in bat speed and a whole bunch of other statistics. But those clutch hits in the late series against the Braves and then the playoffs against the Brewers, he is just incredible. And with Alonso back, the Mets lineup is looking as dangerous as ever. Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Juan Soto, and now Alonso anchoring the middle. This is exciting. And let's not forget that Alonso is on the cusp of becoming the Mets' all-time home run hitter. Darryl Strawberry has 252 home runs, and David Wright has 242. Pete Alonso is just a handful behind that. So while the roads might be icy, the Mets' hot stove has been anything but.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. New York City is facing a public safety crisis, and it's one we can't afford to ignore. The NYPD is bleeding officers, and the city's solution? Force the remaining cops to work endless overtime at a staggering cost of over $1 billion last year alone. It's not just about the money. It's about safety and morale. Officers are leaving in droves, not just those reaching retirement, but younger cops who should be the future of the force. And can you blame them? They're forced into back-to-back shifts, working long hours with no work-life balance. The result? Burnout, frustration, and a department that can't recruit fast enough to keep up. Commissioner Jessica Tisch admits the problem is dire. NYPD applicants used to line up for the job. Now, the city is practically begging people to take the entrance exam. Why? Because officers today are overworked, underappreciated, and constantly under pressure. We're seeing the consequences. Officers retire or resign, leaving precincts short-staffed. That means the remaining cops are forced into overtime, which drives even more officers to quit. It's a vicious cycle, one that puts both police and civilians at risk. And let's not forget, this is the largest police department in the country. If the NYPD can't recruit and retain officers, what message does that send to every law enforcement agency? Some cities see opportunity in our failure. Syracuse is offering a $20,000 hiring bonus for NYPD officers to jump ship. California? They'll pay up to $100,000 to lure them away. And even small departments in places like Texas are promising better pay, better benefits, and a better quality of life. So what's the answer? In my view, it's pretty simple. Worked around 2014, worked in the early 90s. Hire more cops. Stop making up for shortages with overtime. Improve pay and benefits. Make the job attractive again. Because without a strong police force, crime will rise, response times will slow, and New Yorkers will be the ones who suffer the most. In my opinion, the choice is clear. We can invest in public safety now, or we can pay the price later. And if the last few years have taught us anything, it's that we can't afford to get this wrong. We've seen New York at times of crisis when it comes to policing and crime. Let's not get back there because we won't do something as simple as hire more cops.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
You know, when Eric Adams disappeared from the public eye for a stretch, I was one of those people who doubted whether he was really sick. I thought this was just another way for him to duck the press, avoid tough questions, and maybe even take an unannounced mini staycation. But now, based on what we're hearing, it does appear that something was going on. In fact, he may have even gone under anesthesia. And if that's true, well, that raises a whole new set of questions. It is absolutely insane that the mayor never informed the public about this. Not only that, but did they at least notify the public advocate? Because under the city charter, that's the person who's supposed to take over if the mayor's incapacitated. And let's be clear, being put under anesthesia means you are, by definition, incapacitated. If there had been a major emergency in the city at that moment, who would have been in charge? As it turns out, someone was acting as mayor. First Deputy Mayor Maria Torres Springer, and New Yorkers only found out about this a month later. That is totally unacceptable. Adams is now trying to argue that an obscure executive order, one that's been in place since the Giuliani administration, gave Torres Springer the authority to take over. But the public advocate, Jumaane Williams, says otherwise. And frankly, Williams is right. The city charter is pretty clear. If the mayor is unable to perform his duties due to illness, the public advocate steps in. Adams didn't follow the rules. Look, I respect privacy. Nobody expects the mayor to give us a daily rundown of his medical history. He shouldn't have to do that, and I don't expect that. But when you hold one of the most important and powerful offices in the country, You don't get to just disappear without explanation, especially when you're undergoing a procedure serious enough to require anesthesia. Compare this to past mayors. Mayor Bill de Blasio's team announced his hernia surgery in advance. Rudy Giuliani not only disclosed his prostate cancer treatment, but even held a press conference about it from his hospital bed just hours after his procedure. Adams, on the other hand, went silent for a month. At best, this is a case of poor communication and bad leadership. At worst, it's yet another example of Adams bending the rules to suit himself. Either way, New Yorkers deserve answers. We don't know what this procedure was. Maybe it was a colonoscopy. Maybe it was some other type of surgery. What happens in the future if the mayor needs to undergo some other procedure again? Who's going to be in charge then? This is totally unacceptable.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by Loom by Atlassian. Are you feeling stuck at work? Get your team unstuck with Loom video messaging and move work forward. Use Loom to simultaneously record both your screen and yourself to share a quick update, provide feedback, train a colleague, and everything in between. Plus, add Loom AI to your meetings for instant written notes and recordings. Try Loom today at Loom.com. That's LOOM.com.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, folks, if you were expecting civility in the New Jersey Republican gubernatorial primary, the debate 2 nights ago quickly shattered that illusion. This was a brawl, not a debate. And while primary contests are never beanbag, this one has the potential to get downright nasty, and that's a shame. From the outset, former state Senator Ed Durr set the tone, joking that the debate would be about who's more Trump-like. But instead of fighting over Trump credentials, the candidates seemed more focused on attacking each other. Jack Ciattarelli went after Bill Spadia, calling him a grifter for paying himself $65,000 from his nonprofit. Spadia fired back, dismissing Ciattarelli as part of the Trenton establishment linked to powerful lobbyists, and it didn't stop there. Spadia accused Ciattarelli of being beholden to political insiders, while Ciattarelli pointed to Spadia's ties to Ocean County GOP Chair George Gilmore. The animosity was palpable. Even State Senator John Bramnick, usually the voice of moderation, was raising his voice, particularly when the audience booed his criticism of Trump's January 6th pardons. Quote, either we're the party of law and order or we're not, he declared. Meanwhile, Durr and Bramnick seemed to be having a separate debate with far less personal animosity. At one point, moderator David Wildstein, who's been a guest on the show many times, quipped, "We're not getting the Kumbaya night tonight that we did on Sunday," referring to the previous Democratic debate, and that was an understatement. Policy did make an appearance between the barbs. Spadia wants to reinstate regional contribution agreements, offloading suburban affordable housing quotas onto cities. He also pledged to serve only one term, saying he'd make the tough, unpopular choices. Here's a clip of just how heated things got between Ciattarelli and Spadia.
Common Sense Club, he's exploited every single one of those small dollar donors, because if you go to phonybill.com,
17.
You'll see the IRS filings for commonsense.com. And on page 17 of the IRS filings, you'll see that Bill Spadia paid himself $65,000 with all those small dollar donations. Yeah. He paid himself. He didn't disclose that when he was soliciting donations, but that's Bill Spadia. Phony and fraud.
Actually, Jack, I did disclose it because first of all, Jack doesn't know the difference. Jack doesn't know the difference between Common Sense Club. But thank you for plugging that, because we have 152,000 members in the Common Sense
Club.
On the
IRS files, he paid himself $65,000,
which is our.
And that's just the beginning. Buckle up, New Jersey. This one is going to get ugly.
Beam me up!
To be continued.